Hello and welcome to the Weirtree Online Academy. My name is Chris and I'll be your tutor for today. In our previous video we looked at question 3 and in this video we look at question 4 of the Cambridge AS Biology Paper 2-1, Winter 2019, course code 9700. Question 4, figure 4.1 is a photomicrograph of a human blood smear. Okay, now if we have a look at this blood cell smear you can clearly see a few things. So A is a phagocyte, but to be more specific, you can use the word neutrophil here, and B is a lymphocyte. Okay, B is a lymphocyte. Okay, so we really want to be specific. Is a neutrophil. Okay, is an example of one of the phagocytes to be specific, and B is a lymphocyte. Okay, you can tell this because it has a large nucleus compared to the rest of the cell organelles, and the phagocytes or neutrophils have like 3 or 5 little nucleuses as well. Clearly, you can see that from this picture. Okay. Okay. Question B: blood and lymph are both fluids that transport substances within the human body. Table 4.1 shows the components found in both blood and lymph. Complete table 4.1 to show whether the concentration of each of these components is higher or lower or the same in the lymph when compared to the concentration in the blood in the aorta. You may use the words higher or lower or the same once, more than once, or not at all. Okay, well, let's remember about the circulatory system versus the lymphatic system. Okay, so what happens here is that once the blood is pumped around the body, it will seep out of the blood vessels in the capillaries to form tissue fluid. That tissue fluid will then drain into the lymphatic system and then be transported around the body there. Okay, so the tissue fluid is containing all the glucose and oxygen that's needed for the cells for respiration, and then the waste products such as carbon dioxide will be put into the lymph and then transported out that way. Okay, so in oxygen, the aorta, okay, so it says the aorta obviously would have a very high concentration of oxygen, but it says concentration in the lymph compared to the concentration in the blood of the aorta. So although the aorta has a high concentration of oxygen, the lymph would have a lower concentration of oxygen than the aorta. Now, carbon dioxide, remember, the aorta would contain oxygenated blood, and the lymph would contain the waste substances that have been released through respiration of the cells. So it will have a higher concentration of carbon dioxide in the lymph than the aorta. In the lymphatic system, red blood cells are not present generally because they would be kept inside the capillary. They're too big to come out of the capillary and therefore should not really enter the lymph system. So red blood cells would have a lower concentration in the lymph than they would in the aorta. Okay. Okay. 2I. The presence of a pathogen infecting the body leads to an increase in the concentration of protein in the lymph. Suggest an explanation for this increase in protein. Okay. Well, a pathogen would lead to an immune response. Okay. And if you remember, the idea here would be is that, well, we would have a production of antibodies and cytokines. So you could say increased production of antibodies and cytokines. Okay, so this therefore increases their concentration. And obviously these substances are proteins, so you know both substances are protein. Made of protein. Yeah. So as a result, if you have more proteins being made, antibodies and cytokines, this would lead to an increase in protein concentration in the lymph. Question C. Blood is circulated around the body by the heart. The action of the heart is coordinated by and controlled by structures located in its walls, such as the SAN, the synatrial node, and the atrioventricular node, AVN. Well, the SAN is effectively the starting point. Okay, so what happens here is that the SAN, should we say, it emits electrical impulses. Okay, now this can be called various things. So, you know, this causes waves of depolarization. Okay, you can also say waves of excitation, etc., depending on how you've been taught. There's a few choice of words here. Okay, what happens is these are emitted at regular intervals. Okay, so they're emitted at regular intervals. Okay, Now this effectively acts as a pacemaker. Okay, so remember those people who have a faulty SAN or have problems with regulating their own heartbeat, they may be fitted with an artificial pacemaker which replaces the role of the synatrial node. All right. Now, other things you could mention as well is that it causes the atrial contraction. Okay, so this causes atrial contraction. Okay. So it only really does the first part of the full process of a heartbeat itself. Okay, that's when the AVN node takes over and does the second half of it as well. Okay. Next.
In a healthy heart, the AVN provides the only pathway for electrical impulses to travel from the atria to the ventricles. The bundle of Kent is a structure found in the heart in a small number of people. Some electrical impulses do not pass through the AVN, but travel directly to the atria, to the ventricles, through the bundle of Kent. Suggest and explain the effects that the presence of the bundle of Kent may have on a heart rate. Okay. So if the AVN is being bypassed, remember the AVN effectively regulates the impulse that travels, so it slows it down. So what happens here is you could say that it leads to an increased heart rate. Yeah. Okay, the reason for that is that the AVN is bypassed and it leads to a ventricular contraction more regularly than it should do. Okay, so there's no slowing down. Okay, so there's no slowing down of impulses, okay, because that's the role of the AVN, is to regulate the impulses reaching the ventricles. Okay, this can effectively cause the ventricles to contract more often. Okay, contract more frequently than they're supposed to. More frequently. Okay, and as a result, you could end up with what's called an irregular heartbeat. Okay, not only that, is that if you're having the ventricles contracting that not at the regulated or specified time that normally would happen, is that the ventricle could contract and push blood out when it's not full. So, ventricles could contract when not full of blood. Okay, this could have consequences on the rate of oxygenated blood delivery. People might get fatigued. This could be a real problem. Okay, but here is more than enough marks for you to suggest and explain the effects of the presence of the bundle of Kent. Okay, it doesn't necessarily say about anything else in the body. The question is clearly referring to heart rate only, not the remaining body tissues. Okay, so all these answers are related to heart rate and the reason why they influence the heart rate. Okay, thank you for watching our video today. Please register on the website for a free demo, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.